Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aram. As you know, I'm a real estate agent in the Chicago area. I'm making this video in the bullpen today at my desk, and we are going to recap my first year in real estate. So stay tuned. Okay, so how did it go? I get into real estate March 1st, 2017. That was my first day. And I had done my research before, and I had decided that my business is going to come from cold call because I understood the importance of learning how to sell, for one, in real estate and in life. Because once you know that, I figured I'll be good everywhere. So I wanted to do cold calling, get some experience, get some sales knowledge, blah, blah, blah. So when did I make my first cold call? Not the first month. It took about 3 to 4 weeks for me to actually have the courage to pick up this heavy device and dial a phone number. I swear, the first 3 weeks I was really not serious. I was afraid. I mean, to be honest with you, like anyone else, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm afraid to cold call." So was I. Frightened to cold call. But you know what? Picked it up, and I made something happen. So, about, I would say 3.5 weeks in, I made my first ever call. I think it was a Wednesday. And before that, I was making lists, to-do lists on things I should do lists for. It was pretty much anything I could do to not make a call, I would do. I'm like, you know what, we'll make a call tomorrow. You know what, it's already Thursday, might as well call on Monday. So that's how that went. And then I eventually said, as I always do, shut up, Aram, and do it. Do it, and if you don't like it, then stop. But you can't not do it and not like it. So I make my first call. Talked to a lady named Nancy. I'll never forget the call. She was selling because her husband was in a wheelchair, and she wanted to move somewhere where it's handicap accessible, etc., etc., etc. I had zero experience at that time. Otherwise, that would have been the greatest listing of my life. But so yeah, I spoke to Nancy. It was nice. It was a nice conversation. Didn't lead anywhere, but it was a nice conversation. So that's end of March. That's first month in the business, right? I just started calling for sale by owners. Another, I would say 2 months goes by. I'm calling for sale by owners. I'm not getting any traction. I'm getting a couple listing appointments here and there, but I'm not getting any of the listings. As you can tell, I'm a very young guy. So I think maybe that had something to do with it, but that's also a damn lie. I was simply not good enough to get the business. That's why I didn't get the business. So then I decided to also call expired listings, and that's kind of when things started going good for me. So I started calling expired listings. These are homes that came off the market unsold. So these are people that are extremely frustrated, right? Now the first expired I talked to yelled at me for like 5 minutes straight and then hung up the phone. I'm like, okay, now these are scary people. Because before I was afraid of for sale by owners, but I could call them all day, not have any trouble. Now expireds was also a new challenge. Eventually, of course, I was more comfortable with being uncomfortable, so I did it and it was fine. And towards the end of May, I got my first ever listing. I was so excited. So let me tell you background. The house, I called the client, and of course, just like any expired, they were extremely frustrated because number one, their house had been on the market for 4 years. No traffic. Number two, the second it comes off the market, now every agent on God's green earth can sell their house in 30 days. It doesn't make any sense, right? So I understood that. So they were a little frustrated. I let it calm down. I said, listen, man, I just want to help. Let me see if I can help. So I met with them. The greatest people on this earth are my very first clients because they had no business hiring me. I had no experience. I was 21 years old, and I was supposed to sell a $700,000 house in 30 days. Because I was so naive, I'm like, I'm going to sell it in 30 days. It's me, for Christ's sake. I actually promised them I would sell it in 28 days. So we put it on the market, and the reason this house was sitting for so long is not because it wasn't worth whatever we were asking. It was on a busy road. It was in Arlington Heights, facing Arlington Heights Road. So you can imagine how busy it's going to be around 5 o'clock. And it's not sideways, facing. Your driveway's on the road. So that was stopping it from selling. I promised I'd do it in 28 days. Shame on me. It took 30. But the house sold. Now we're off to the races. Once that closed, I believe around August. So beginning of July is when we got the contract. It took about 2 weeks 2 weeks to get everything taken care of and then start the process, right? And one thing I didn't do is learn the process. So I recommend, if you get into business, learn the process, because once I knew how to sell a house. What I didn't know is what happens after you put a house under contract. The inspection period, attorney review, appraisal, survey, etc., etc., etc. I didn't know these things. So thank God the cold calling had made me into a great communicator. I was able to talk to the buyer's agent and figure things out from there. So end of August, we closed my first deal. Beginning of September, I get another listing. Boom. Now this is the first for sale by owner I ever got. Now imagine, I've been calling for sale by owners from March 1st, 2017 till September. Not a single time did I get a listing. I had appointments, but I never got the listing until I met with these people. Again, the greatest clients in the world. By the way, all my clients are the greatest clients in the world because I am so picky. I won't work with you if I don't like you. Simple as that. It was a for sale by owner, great couple, listed the home, sold it in 12 days. Now I'm getting cocky. Now I'm thinking maybe I should lower this 28-day guarantee to 14 because who needs 28 days? In October, I got another deal. This was a canceled listing that I actually got from Floor Time. What that means is you're basically sitting here and somebody calls the office. They're asking questions about selling a house. I followed up with her. She liked my style and she hired me to sell her house. Sold it in 11 days. Now I'm getting real cocky. Now I'm like, maybe I don't even need 14 days, right? And then I did 2 buyer transactions from there. So I totally closed 5 deals in my first year of real estate, okay? And that totaled about 1.6 million in production, and that's that. Now my goal was initially to do 10 listings this year. Unfortunately, I didn't hit that goal, but I think a big lesson I learned is that I never actually set the goal. I just, in my mind, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to have 10 listings, but I never focused on getting 10 listings. So that's a lesson I learned. Focus. You got to focus on something, because I was all over the place, man. I was like, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. Boom, boom, boom. I was doing 17 things at the same time, not getting anything from anywhere. So that's one thing I learned. Focus. Pick 1 or 2 things and just be very, very good at it. Just in the last few months, I've focused on my calls. So I'm slowly getting really, really good at it. Now, I'm still not great, but I'm getting better. And one thing I learned that first year, when you're in business for yourself, you either gotta adjust and criticize yourself from like from like outside point of view and kind of make those adjustments, or you gotta go out of business. Now, I'm not going out of business. So I basically looked at myself. I'm like, what did I do the first year that I only got 5 deals? I mean, 5 deals isn't bad, but I want more. I'm a greedy person. And I think 5 deals is average. I hate being average. It drives me crazy. So I need to do more. So I'm like, okay. Of course, I pay for a lot of coaching on the side, a lot of extra training for myself because I want to be good at my job. And I learned that all these people are actually top producers. They're doing one thing different. It's so simple. And you're going to notice this too. They work a lot harder. You have no idea. For example, I can work 10 or 12 days. 10 to 12 hours a day. And a top producer can work 10, 12 hours a day. But in that 10 to 12 hours, they're working to the bones. No breaks. Well, me on the other hand, I'll be honest. Every now and then I pull my phone out, I'll be on social media. And maybe I'll watch a YouTube video here and there. So I wasn't really focused and hustling. So that's one thing I learned from my first year is to work harder, pretty much. And just focus your time on what you're doing, because you can't do 17 things at the same time. So that was a great lesson for me. And when I got into business, I knew it was going to be hard, and I was very fortunate to just have YouTube and found the right people on YouTube to basically learn from. Some great people I recommend is Brian Casella. Just YouTube him, you'll find him. I think one of the best trainings ever. Greg McDaniel, he has a podcast. I love the podcast. So I was feeding my brain, reading books, learning sales, things like that. Because in real estate, one thing, I don't know if they tell you this, 0 training. Some offices offer training, but it is not really like training. It's just like, do this, do that, do this. But there's really 0 training of how to get listings and how to get them sold, or what to do this, how to negotiate this, blah, blah, blah. So I had to learn all that on my own. I need on my own dollar. So lesson number 2. You gotta be ready to invest, man. you gotta be ready to invest. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheap. I think my first month, second month, I'm sorry, I paid $1,000 for this real estate course, and I swear to God, I had the best money I ever spent. I would have zero listings if it wasn't for that course. So you gotta invest. And again, I got cheap towards the end of the year. I was like, damn, I don't want to spend more money on this. So I'm getting back into it. Yeah. So now we're March 1st, 2018 was the anniversary date. This video is so goddamn late. I think it's like April 10th today. So that was my first year. That was the recap. It was very hard work. I loved every minute of it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think if you're a hustler and you are self-motivated, and you're not ruled by your emotions, this is a good business to be in, because a lot of people kind of, for example, because I'm young, a lot of people come to me around my age who are looking to get into business and ask questions. I had one guy who was upset because his family member hadn't listed their home with him. And I told him, listen, man, it's not their fault. It's your fault. It's because they didn't believe you were a good enough agent to get the job done. Now, that's my biggest fear, is to not be a good agent. So that's why I always say, listen, you got to invest in yourself. You have to be good at your job before you can expect people to hire you. And that is one lesson I learned. You have to be good at your job. And I'm getting better at it. So I hope you guys learned something from this. I know a lot of people make these videos once they're like 2-3 years in the business, and they're already top producers, and you get to see their nice cars, nice houses. But I don't think too many people make it while they're still in their first year. So I hope you can look at this perspective and learn from it, and then do better for yourself. Hopefully you do 10, 20, 30, 50 deals, whatever the case is. And have a great day. Appreciate you coming in, watching it to the end. Subscribe. I will post more videos. I promise. It's just hard to do two things at once, but I will make it work. All right? Have a great day. Bye-bye.